I do believe that there is a great probability Donald Trump will be imprisoned. In the lighter sense, he may be jailed. The difference being imprisoned is convicted, sentenced, and then brought to a penitentiary, whereas jailed is they will bring him to a holding cell where he will not be allowed to leave until a certain amount of time. Right now, it looks like the judge in the January 6th case wants to remand Donald Trump to custody, but they are refraining from doing so. Trump attacks federal judge overseeing the January 6th case just days after she slapped him with a protective order and warned against using inflammatory language. Quote, "She wants me behind bars." I believe the judge could have made a play to remand Trump to custody and didn't because it will help him win. I believe the judge personally and emotionally wants Trump behind bars, but that would be a tactical error in the 2024 election. I do believe that with the upcoming Georgia indictments, which are looming in Fulton County, Donald Trump is going to be given a mugshot, brought to a jail cell, and we'll see. The challenge with it, of course, is Secret Service. But I have to wonder, if they can remand Trump to custody until this trial, they hobble him dramatically into the lead up of the Republican primaries, allowing other candidates to win. If Donald Trump can't rally, if he can't campaign, it's going to be really difficult. If Trump is convicted, they will move to take him off all of these ballots in many states, making it very hard for him to win. But we'll see. I don't know for sure. What I do know is that Donald Trump has been posting messages on Truth, criticizing the judge, criticizing other individuals, and they're trying to use this as justification to lock him up. At the same time, in Georgia, a sheriff is vowing to get Trump's mugshot if he's indicted, and we now know they are making the case that Donald Trump's team breached the voting systems. These are the lies and the manipulations that are coming out. Oh, I love this story. I saw our good friend Krasenstein. I think I might have the tweet here. No, this election wizard. Brian Krasenstein says Fulton County DA Fannie Willis is in possession of emails and text messages which connect Trump's legal team to the breaches of the Coffee County, Georgia voting system, according to CNN. And that's what you call framing. Framing. Because what people believe now is they say, you mean to tell me that Donald Trump hacked the election? Here's the real story. Donald Trump's legal team was trying to perform an audit on the Georgia ballots in a variety of counties. An individual at Coffee County apparently gave them a written invitation. That's exactly what CNN wrote, though they put it in quotes. I don't know what that means. I haven't seen the invitation, nor has CNN. The invitation was for the Trump legal team to come and view their voting systems, for which they are now calling it an illegal breach. I'm really confused by the story, I guess. But hey, the left is saying that Trump's team breached the election system. I think it's lies and manipulation because they want to put Trump in jail. I've seen these polls on Twitter and they ask, do you think Trump will end up in prison? They all say no. They say like 80% no. And I'm just like, you think Donald Trump is going to be acquitted? Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. Because in Georgia, I don't know. Miami, I don't know. Federal district, we'll see. D.C., he ain't getting acquitted in D.C. New York, he ain't getting acquitted in New York. And then to the semantics of the debate. In prison? Okay, fair point. Maybe they put him on house arrest with an ankle bracelet. Fine. Then he's not technically in prison. Trump will be in some capacity arrested and unable to move about this country in all likelihood. Now, I do believe there is a strong possibility Trump will go to prison. You see, people seem to think because they watch TV shows that prison, it's always a bunch of guys in orange jumpsuits shanking each other in the showers. And there's gangs and there's white supremacists and all that. It's like, dude, Trump, if he does, would likely go to a day spa style minimum security prison for the ultra wealthy. They're going to say, we're taking you out of the game, but we can't risk anything happening to you, which would be martyrdom. So they're going to put him in a cushy day spa, low minimum security prison where he'll play cards and watch TV and sit in his lounge chair. But this will give them the grounds to file lawsuits in a whole bunch of states to remove his name from the ballot. That's the play. Here's the story from the Daily Mail. Former President Donald Trump attacked the federal judge overseeing the January 6th case just days after she warned him against making statements that might intimidate witnesses or impact the integrity of the trial. Well, how about I read for you the quote that Donald Trump posted? Election Wizard says, Trump questions D.C. Judge Chutkan's impartiality, pointing to a quote wherein the judge said many J6ers mobbed the Capitol because they were ignorant and blindly loyal to one person who, by the way, remains free to this day. Tell me you think Trump is not going to jail. Tell me you think that Trump will get, I'll say, fine. I admit it's a bold play for this lady to try and lock him up. But, she's outright saying he should not be free before the court case. Donald Trump truthed. The following truth is a quote by highly partisan judge Tanya Chutkan, angrily sentencing a J6er in October 2022. She obviously wants me behind bars, very biased and unfair. Quote, I see the videotapes. I see the footage of the flags and the signs that people were carrying, and the hats they were wearing, and the garb. And the people who mobbed the Capitol were there in fealty, in loyalty to one man, not to the Constitution, of which most of the people who come before me seem woefully ignorant, not to the ideals of this country, and not to the principles of democracy. It's a blind loyalty to one person who, by the way, remains free to this day. What did she actually say? She said that because people who like Trump, and this woman walked into a building who's being sentenced, Trump should not be free. These people are evil. They are depraved. That's it. End of story. By all means, call it the banality of evil. Call it ignorance. Call it whatever you want. I cannot imagine someone like this is unaware of what really happened as she sentences people to longer sentences than the prosecutors are even asking for. I believe this woman is depraved and maliciously evil. I believe she is emotionally satisfying her biases by seeking retribution on a group of people she does not understand, does not want to understand, and personally despises. This person should not be a judge. But here we are. Trump said in the language, she's highly partisan, very biased and unfair. He published an all caps quote by Chutkan as she sentenced Christine Priola, a school occupational therapist who pleaded guilty to obstructing an official proceeding. One of the charges Trump is also facing. He posted about it around 1 a.m. Monday. Good timing. And then they read the Constitution. They read the quote about the Constitution, of course. Here's an image of Christine Priola, who is holding a sign that says the children cry out for, I can't read the bottom of it. And she appears to be in the Senate chamber. 15-month sentence. The judge also said she believed Priola was sincere in her regret before sentencing. She wrote in court, I do not like it when people break the law or take the law into their own hands. I do not want people out there acting like morons. I was one of those morons. I caused great harm to others, and it caused a ripple effect that I can never undo. What a challenging world we live in. I cannot imagine being someone like Christine Priola. I don't know her exact circumstances. I don't know what she did on January 6th. We all know that there was a large amount of people that stormed the barricades, rushed to the front of the Capitol, and started fighting with police officers. Some argue that they rushed to the front of the Capitol and then police instigated the fight. And yeah, I don't know if I care about that, to be completely honest. You tear down the barricades and storm in. If the cops respond with tear gas or something, I'm not surprised. Not like I like any of it, but people should not have breached the Capitol grounds. My question then for Christine Priola is, did she walk through the back like so many others? I don't know. So I won't comment specifically on her case because I don't know. We do know that the Q shaman, they call him, was given a guided tour by police. I'm exaggerating, of course, but he somehow got into the building, presumably when the police opened the door and let people in, and he asked police for directions where he followed them, and they brought him to the Senate chamber. And then he goes to jail for it. Now that's insane, isn't it? We all know. This judge doesn't care about what's true. This judge hates you, hates Trump, hates his supporters, and revels in the suffering of people she does not care for and hates. I love how they hold up these signs saying hate has no home here and stuff like that. And it's like, dude, you are the most hateful people ever. I think it's an interesting argument. When far left extremists set fire to vehicles, the streets, smashed windows on January 20th, 2017. I thought it was an interesting argument when the police said it was a conspiracy because they all wore black, showed up intending to do this. But the government ultimately lost. Why? The lawyers argued, you cannot imprison an individual for wearing a hoodie and black jeans. That's what Antifa does. If you can't prove they committed the crime, you cannot charge them. But on January 6th, the inverse happens. They say people who were let into the building, you can charge because they were part of a mob. Now, how does that make sense? It does not. These people are evil, period. Have a nice day. This lady doesn't care that far left extremists storm the city, thinking she knows what the Constitution means. No. She seeks retribution, and she wants to see people she hates in pain. This is what we want to avoid with the Constitution, pitting one group against another in such a way. If far left extremists were innocent of the crimes they were charged with, then so be it. You're allowed to be a far left extremist, just don't commit crimes. You can believe whatever you want to believe. The problem I see with all the people wearing black clad and going to D.C. and rioting is that they all are aware of why they're engaging in this behavior, and it is conspiracy. They plan in advance. They tell everyone to wear all black hoodies and masks, and then they all show up wearing the same thing. Then when someone commits a crime, they can all say, we don't know who did it. That's their legal plan. But if you conspire together to obfuscate and obstruct the law, then conspiracy. But the prosecutors tried and lost, and the city was forced to pay out millions of dollars. Why did the city lose? Because I don't think they were actually intending on winning anyway. But this is where we're currently at now. Here's the tweet from Brian Krasenstein. Fulton County DA Fannie Willis is in possession of emails and text messages which connect Trump's legal team to the breaches of the Coffee County, Georgia voting system. The real story is that a couple guys showed up to an election office or something and asked for data, and they're calling it a breach. Take a look at this story from CNN so you can understand how they're trying to write history. Georgia prosecutors have messages showing Trump's team is behind voting system breach. Investigators in the Georgia criminal probe have long suspected the breach was not an organic effort sprung from sympathetic Trump supporters in rural and heavily Republican Coffee County, a county Trump won by nearly 70% of the vote. They have gathered evidence indicating it was a top-down push by Trump's team to access sensitive voting software, according to people familiar with the situation. Wow. So Trump's team breached the election office to get access to voting software. Heavens me. What does that really mean? Trump allies attempted to access voting systems after the 2020 election as part of the broader push to produce evidence, et cetera, et cetera. While Trump's January 2021 call to Secretary of State Brian Travis is an effort, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whoa. CNN. I am infuriated by this article. What do you mean access voting systems? Are you implying the Trump team hacked into their servers? That's what it sounds like, doesn't it? And then, if you're bold enough and brave enough and you read all the way down, wait a minute, wait, hold on. What, a letter of invitation? What is this? So buried way down here, it says, 6 days before the Trump operatives gained unauthorized access to voting systems, the local elections official who allegedly helped facilitate the breach sent a written invitation to attorneys working for Trump. Okay, hold on there a minute. An election official working in Georgia invited the Trump team to look at their voting systems. That's it. That's the story. So what's this breach? Oh, someone else determined it wasn't legally permitted to do that. So is it Trump's team's fault for reaching out saying, can we access these systems? Them saying, yes, come on in. They show up, take a look at the data and say, have a nice day. And now you're like, that was Trump's team breaching the software. What, they were invited in by an official. That's crazy. Let's read more. Investigators have scrutinized the actions of various individuals who were involved, including Misty Hampton, a former Coffee County elections official who authored the letter of invitation referenced in text messages and other documents. So an election official sent them a written letter of invitation? Amazing. And then they say Rudy Giuliani, blah, blah, blah. They put written invitation in quotes. The group included Sullivan Strickler, a firm hired by Trump's attorneys to examine voting systems. So Trump hires a lawyer. The lawyers get invited by election officials. The lawyers then go over the election data, and that's it. And now they're trying to criminally charge Trump. I will say it again. They're lying to you. They are evil and depraved, and they're trying to steal power. It is happening right before our eyes. CNN has not reviewed the substance of the invitation letter itself, only communications that confirm it was provided. So when they say Georgia prosecutors have messages showing Trump's team is behind voting system breach, here's the real headline. CNN, how about this? Trump team received invitation to review voting system software by election official. Now, is that news? My good friend Brian Krasenstein. I like the Krasensteins, right? They generate a lot of engagement and interactivity and conversation on Twitter. It's a good thing. But come on, man. Is that the headline you're running with? For this reason, they seek to imprison Donald Trump? I find that truly incredible. So I started digging into this, looking at all these stories. Going back here, we have the latest from 11 Alive. Coffee County election allegations could be part of Fulton indictments against Trump. RICO gives Fulton DA latitude to expand Trump case beyond Atlanta to Coffee County. You see, their headline, a little weaker than CNN's. Here's the next one. Testimony ties Trump to Coffee County breach. Interesting, from April. She's no ringleader, says attorney for fired Coffee County election official. Kathy Latham is seen opening the election office door, allowing unauthorized access to the secure area. So you mean there was more than one election official in Coffee County who allowed Trump's people in, the legal team that he hired? Let me break it down for you, ladies and gentlemen. An election official wrote a letter of invitation to Trump's legal team because he hired lawyers to review the software, concerned that there was double counting or impropriety. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution says some ballots initially double counted in Fulton before recount. It really did happen. Almost 200 duplicates were found and removed thanks to a watchdog group. So Donald Trump's team says, hold on there a minute, something fishy's going on. We'd like to review some of this data. An election official says, come on down. We'll let you on in and you can take a look for yourself. A different election official opens the door, allowing them to come in, and the media reports the Trump team breached their voting systems. I believe Donald Trump will find his way to a jail cell. This is what they want. Georgia wants the mugshot. Georgia's sheriff vows to get Trump's mugshot if he's indicted in Fulton County election case. And of course he will be. Look, Fulton County is blue, but there are people that I just don't understand. They're saying Trump's not going to be convicted, as if a jury in New York City is going to acquit Donald Trump of anything. They could come in and say, we're charging Trump with a felony because he once farted in an elevator, and they're going to be like, guilty. And they're going to call it disorderly conduct. They're going to say, look, farting this way was intended to disrupt and offend people. It was battery. That's right. When he got in that elevator and passed wind, he was accosting the innocent people. And for that, we want 2 years. I'm exaggerating, of course. I'm making a joke. But come on. They're twisting every single thing out of proportion. They're going to add this to insurrection. That is the game plan. They're going to say Donald Trump not only called for the insurrection on January 6th, but he sent a team to breach our election systems to steal an election. Here's the real story. Donald Trump held a peaceful rally at the Ellipse in D.C. on January 6th, where he called for people to peacefully protest. A permanent rally outside the building on one side saw no violence. Bad people that we don't like breached the barricades, stormed to the front of the building, and started fighting with cops. Chaos ensued. It was a riot. It was terrible. Not an insurrection. There was no real plan. Trump was still speaking at the time when this happened. Donald Trump had his legal team investigate the voting systems because there were news stories of impropriety. That's it. Now, the federal government has claimed that Trump's lawyers are co-conspirators, that the people who were fanned into the building by police are violent insurrectionists, and Trump's lawyers who sought to investigate voting discrepancies, as reported by many mainstream publications, NewsGuard certified, of course, Those were people engaging in an elections system breach. Wow. Talk about framing. We have a video of Joe Biden saying, if you don't fire the prosecutor, you're not getting $1 billion. We have Devin Archer saying D.C. was called to help Burisma with getting the prosecutor off their backs. And a couple of weeks later, Biden flies out and does just that. I don't got to frame that any other way. Those are fact statements, more than a preponderance of evidence. And Joe Biden's a free man. I fear for this country based on how things are going. But I have to wonder if everything they're doing to Trump will just backfire. You imprison him, you lock him up, he just ends up winning. Now, granted, he's an old man. He's an old man. Come on, he's in his 70s. So we will see. I don't see Ron DeSantis being the guy to take this if Trump is knocked out. Maybe Vivek Ramaswamy. If Trump is hobbled, but still wins the nomination, I believe that the Democrats are hoping for this. Trump wins the GOP nomination as he's expected to. Then they do everything in their power to hobble him so he can't campaign. They get his name removed from many ballots so he can't earn votes. Because there are a lot of people who blindly vote Republican, don't think twice. And then they win. Quote unquote win. You take a look at some of these stories that came out in 2021 and in late 2020 about voting system irregularities. Yes, votes were double counted, 200. They needed to find 12,000. And that's exactly what Trump wanted to do. Trump was concerned. If not for this watchdog group, they would not have found duplicate vote counts. They found them, got them removed. Trump says to his legal team, I want to see if there are more. Often the lawsuits that were filed were thrown out on standing, not on merits, meaning of the lawsuits that were filed challenging the election, none of them were actually heard. Or I would say technically none of them were defeated. They were dismissed on standing. The merits were never heard. And this is where we are right now. This is why you have people who don't think Trump lost because, well, they blocked it all. You have people who believe that Trump really is still the president and that there's going to be military tribunals because the system is completely broken. I think Trump lost. I think there was impropriety. I think there were double counted votes. We can see it right here. I think the reality was Democrats shut everything down in Democrat cities, locked people in their homes, effectively torturing them with solitary confinement, screamed in their face all day, every day that the apocalypse is here. It's Trump's fault. Took away sports, took away movies, COVID lockdown for a year and a half. And with people bashing their head on the wall, they said, it's Trump's fault. Went to their homes, knocked on the door and said, vote for Joe Biden. And the important thing to understand is they did this in the swing states. They don't have that same ability for 2024. So they're doing this. I want you all to understand, if the situation was hopeless, they would not be doing these things. The fact that they're doing all of this with trying to lock Trump up and they're lying about what's going on shows how terrified and desperate they are to arrest Trump. That's the last move in the playbook. You know, what you want to do before you go for the arrest is public manipulation, false flags, things like that. They're at the point where they're shaking so hard, they're like, just arrest him. I don't know what to do. They're throwing everything at the wall, hoping that something sticks. That's how pathetic and desperate they are. If the conservative movement, Republicans, post-liberals, libertarians, because a lot of libertarians are starting to back Trump, not passionately, but begrudgingly. If the ballot harvesting operation is put in place and the activists knock on doors and Scott Pressler and all of his team and the people he's inspired do their jobs, Trump wins. And then maybe he will get revenge, firing so many of these corrupt individuals. It won't be perfect, but at least it'll be something. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.